Good day, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Really looking forward to this episode. It's a follow-up on a comment I made in last week's podcast that I'd love to expand upon more. Some of you may have thought I was pretty provocative by saying that the primary responsibility of the leader is to make certain there is alignment to mission and vision, that all other aspects of the business take second place. And I'd like to explain that more because it can be considered quite provocative. A lot of leaders, they go and say that they want to be able to go and get maximum performance out of their teams or hit their numbers, meet specific targets. But really, is the definition of success hitting a specific milestone if it actually doesn't apply to the reason why you exist? That doesn't meet your purpose. Now, our CEO, Art Johnson, has called alignment as the strength of harmony between strategy, structure, and culture. And I'm sure you've heard a lot about that strategy, structure, and culture comment phrase before. But let's look at that when it comes to alignment. And hopefully by the time we're done with this conversation, maybe you'll think a little differently and go, boy, making certain that the teams that I'm in charge of are aligned to mission and vision in their roles, that really is a number one priority. And the things that I deal with are due to likely misalignment to that mission and purpose. So let's first look at the strategy. Strategy, as you know, well aware, is the process and the philosophies of how you're going to go about attaining the mission and vision, where you want to go, what direction your organization is going to take. And depending upon how detailed your strategy is, it may include key initiatives and programs. But the high-level strategy outlines how you are going to fulfill your mission. Now, getting that strategy and what it really means to get that stuff done in connection with the mission and vision in many misaligned organizations doesn't get past the leadership team. Our orgometric surveys across thousands and tens of thousands of respondents has shown a significant decrease in alignment between second-level leadership and third-level leadership. And if third-level leadership is not connected with the strategy and the mission and vision and their role within it, how can they go and drive that down through the organization? It can only get worse. So setting up the strategy that is connected with mission and vision is one thing. But to keep it out of the desk drawer and have it be a living, breathing document that gets talked about in conversations on the strategy, how it fulfills the mission and vision, and the roles that the people involved are playing to be able to go and execute on that, that's huge. That's a number one, isn't it? Structure. That's the second one of the triad. To be able to go and have the right people in the right seats, the right functions involved in different discussions, whether it be product development or customer service or capital spending and investment. Having the right people in the right seats, doing the right things in alignment with the mission and vision is critical too. Now think about it this way though. When you talk about structure, you also talk about the processes and policies and procedures and the equipment that you happen to have to be able to go and get everything done, whether it be the business system that you have or the machines to be able to go and produce the widgets that you make for clients. All that is entailed in structure. To have alignment, especially across teams and across functions, where they're able to go and collaborate, communicate, create, feel empowered, employ best practices, have common frequency in the way that they're talking, the way they're driving collectively to the mission and vision. That's structure. That's aligned structure. It's a leader's primary job to be able to go and make sure that the structures are in place, both the people, but the processes and the technology as well, to be able to go and deliver on the promise. Now, the third is the culture. And you've heard Peter Drucker's comment, culture eats strategy for breakfast. I personally believe that. The way that people go about their days, interacting with customers and internal customers alike, meeting the mission and vision, holding the values of the organization close at heart in the way that they go and do their own work, in the way that they communicate with people within their team, outside their team, in the way that they go and see forward of how they can actually go and strive to the mission and vision. Not afraid to make mistakes. Not afraid to communicate differences in opinion. That there's a diverse and equitable and inclusive environment that provides great opportunities for the organization to go and create great products and services. Culture is where alignment actually gets practiced on a daily basis. You can have the right strategy that's connected to the mission and vision. Culture helps communicate it and ingrain it and imbue it. You could have the right people in the right seats with the right processes and procedures and technology in place. Culture helps bind those different things together to be able to go and maximize the power of each one of those components. And then the culture of how leadership enables and empowers employees to be creative, to communicate, to hold one another and themselves accountable to meeting the values that are set forth from the mission. Can you imagine that if you as a leader focused your time on making sure that as many in the organization not only knew the mission and how their role fit in, but how to be able to go and work together in an aligned capacity to get things done? How much of the BS that you deal with and your organization deals with every single day could be wiped out or minimized to such a degree that the fixes are part of the normal processes, because there's always things that happen, mistakes that are made. So now let's look at the things that we've seen and we've heard leaders deal with, the questions that they ask all the time. I have too much employee attrition. Too many people are leaving. There's disconnects between generations. And for that matter, teams aren't communicating well. There's a lot of bottlenecks in trying to get things done, maybe through one or two functions, it seems. But project timelines are always past their general due date. I hear leaders and others in the organization making excuses of why something isn't done, or blaming others and other departments why things aren't getting done. I deal with fires from my clients, my constituencies, all the time. I don't have time to look at strategy, structure, and culture, and the alignment to mission and vision. Those questions, those issues, those problems that are keeping you up at night are misalignment. Plain and simple. Now, to rectify those, we'll get into a different podcast for that. And there's work to be done. It doesn't happen overnight to be able to build an aligned organization, and there's certain steps, starting with understanding how misaligned your organization is and where and how. So you can actually start making some cogent decisions and take proper steps to be able to rectify the situation. And when you start taking those steps, you'll see some of those fires that pop up start get handled at different levels, or they don't even happen at all. You'll see project timelines stay on course. You won't hear as much blaming. They'll be crediting the other team for a great job, where before it was, hey, they're not pulling their weight. You, as a leader, must work to align your organization or team or what have you. That is your primary responsibility. The other stuff that comes from misalignment, you have to address the real disease, not the symptoms, the cough, the aching head, the runny nose. You have to look at the core ailment, address the ailment, and then you start seeing healthy progress. Thanks for taking the time out. Really appreciate you tuning in. Please give us a like wherever you go and get this podcast. Please share it with someone else. We're really interested in getting your feedback. Just give us a question. This is one question we had that came out, and I spewed it out last week about the primary role of a leader. Ask us some more questions. Have yourself a great rest of the week. Cheers.